I failed on my alcohol goal this past weekend, and here is what I'm doing about it. If you find yourself frequently employing the all or nothing mindset with your health and fitness goals, then this episode is for you. Before we dive in, if you're listening on the Apple Podcast app or on Spotify, be sure you hit the follow button. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit like and subscribe below. I'm really excited to talk about how I failed on my alcohol goal this past weekend and what I'm doing about it. So for a little bit of context, if you guys haven't been following me over the last 6 or 7 weeks, I am currently in the middle of my own 10-week transformation goal where I'm looking to drop body fat percentage. I'm essentially looking to drop about 2.5 to 3% body fat over a 10-week period of time. And I'm currently in the beginning of week 7 at the time of this recording. And the story that I'm going to be talking about is the weekend of week 6. And so the weekend of week 6, I was going to a wedding on Friday in Highlands, North Carolina. And if you've ever been to Highlands, North Carolina before, it is absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful. When we were there, the weather was perfect. It was 64 degrees and sunny in the morning, 80 degrees and sunny in the afternoon. It was never too warm, never too cold. It was just absolutely beautiful. So I was really looking forward to this. And the wedding I was going to was a wedding of a couple that I had been training for 6 months leading into the wedding. So I was just super excited for them, super excited for the weekend. And the wedding was on Friday, and my fiance and I were going to stay in the Highlands all weekend long. And we knew we were going to have all day Saturday to ourselves to explore. And my current weekly alcohol goal with my 10-week cut goal is to drink 5 alcoholic beverages or less per week. And for me, that's a relatively pretty significant improvement off of what I typically had been doing. I wasn't tracking on a regular basis how much I might be consuming on a weekly basis, but it would be anywhere probably from 6 to 12 drinks per week is what I had normally been doing. And so I knew in order to lose body fat, I needed to cut that down a little bit. So my weekly goal is 5 or less. And so I'm going to this wedding this weekend. I'm trying to think about, okay, how am I going to break this up? How am I going to limit myself to 5 drinks this weekend? So my plan going into the weekend was to have 2 on Friday at the wedding and then 3 on Saturday as we lived out our day. So Friday, I crushed it. Friday, I did exactly that. I had 2 beers at the wedding, and for me, that was a huge improvement because in the past, if I was to go to a wedding, sticking to just 2 drinks for the wedding would be unheard of. So anyways, I was really proud of myself and really happy that I stuck with 2 drinks. And then it came to Saturday, and me and my fiance were talking about it, and we knew that we were going to cap off Saturday night by bringing dinner and a bottle of wine to what's called the Sunset Rock in Highlands, North Carolina. And we were going to watch the sunset with a bottle of wine. And a bottle of wine, as you guys might know, is pretty much two glasses of wine per person. And so I knew that was going to be 2 of my drinks. And so I knew, okay, if I was going to have 2 glasses of wine, then I only was able to have 1 more drink outside of that during the day. And so I was like, okay, here we go. We had lunch on Saturday afternoon, and I didn't have anything to drink, had water, was good. And then right after that, we were kind of just walking around Highlands, North Carolina, trying to figure out what to do next, just exploring the area. And then we saw somebody playing live music at this bar, but this nice outdoor area. And we're like, let's go there. This looks awesome. And so we're sitting there, and I'm like, there's no way that I'm not getting a beer right now. It's like 80 degrees. It's sunny. There's live music. There's people walking around. Like, I'm not just going to sit here and watch her drink and not have anything myself. One, that's no fun for her. Second, it's really no fun for me either. But I made a decision to go get a beer, had that beer. And basically when I was drinking, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to be more annoyed all day long and be less fun to be around and be more of an annoying fiance to be around if I just have this 1 beer and then nothing else throughout the day and just sit there and watch her drink. And she's probably going to be a little bit annoyed with me too, for not just kind of like being a little bit more carefree and having a little bit more to drink than I had originally intended to. And so that's exactly what I decided to do. So basically starting at 1:30 p.m. on Saturday, I had my first beer. And then finishing off at about 8:45 p.m. on Saturday, I finished that last glass of wine. And I had 3 beers and 2 glasses of wine that night. So 5 drinks. Now it was spread out across a period of about 7 hours. But during that period, I was a lot more diligent on drinking water. We had plenty of time in between drinks, had good food as well. And so that day I had 5 drinks instead of 3. That weekend I had 7 drinks instead of 5. And the reason why I'm telling you this is, yes, I fell short of my goal. And I was kind of having a conversation with myself as to, was I just justifying it and making excuses and not committed enough to the goal? And, maybe there's some truth to that. But at the same time, I know that limiting myself to 7 drinks for the weekend was a whole lot better than what I would have done in the past. And when I told myself, okay, 3 is not going to happen on Saturday, I wasn't like, screw it, I'm going to have 10. I was okay with landing somewhere in the middle, not 3, not 10, but 5 that particular day. And so I think a lot of us, when we set a goal, we think we're either hitting it or we're going to go the other direction. We're either all in or we're all out. We're either 3 drinks or we're 10 drinks, or, whatever ends of the extreme are. We're either going to be really healthy with our meal or we're going to go completely opposite. We're either going to be really healthy this week or we're going to be completely opposite. But you see, the all or nothing mindset is super detrimental to our progress. It's super detrimental to our psyche. And so I was just really proud of myself and happy with myself that when I threw 3 out the window, I didn't jump to the opposite direction, but I landed somewhere in the middle with 5, and I felt so much better physically the next day, and I felt so much better mentally about the decision making that I did, and felt just much more proud of myself than I could have otherwise felt if I went to the other end of the spectrum. And so you see, a lot of us, we think it's yes or no. We think it's 100% or nothing. We think it's all in or all out. But we have to find value in the gray area in the middle. It's not sexy to live in the gray area in the middle. It's not sexy for me to come on here and say that I had 5 drinks in a particular day. It'd be sexier if I said I had 0. It'd be sexier to say if I had 10 almost. But somewhere in the middle is like not as sexy because it's this gray area. But there's a lot of progress that can be made in the gray area. And I had consumed probably 3, 4, or 5 less drinks over the course of that weekend that I would have normally done. So I need to still be able to acknowledge myself for making progress over how I would have maybe performed and acted in the past. And the next thing I want to explain as well is nothing happens in isolation. So with my fitness goal, yes, I want to be as diligent, as committed as possible to hit the goal of losing 2.5 to 3% body fat. And I'm going to basically do everything that I can to make that happen. But at the same time, it's Saturday. It's beautiful. We're in Highlands, North Carolina. It's just me and my fiance hanging out, having a special day together. And I didn't want to be annoyed that whole afternoon, that whole day, be less fun to be around just for the sake of having 2 less drinks to hit a body fat percentage goal, right? Like, that goal does not happen in isolation. That happens amidst the other areas of my life. And so I want to make sure that I'm not sacrificing too much in the moment for a little bit of fun that I can have, and like having a good time with my fiance. And so that's not necessarily giving you guys the flexibility to always fall short of your goals. It's giving you the flexibility to live in the gray area sometimes when needed, and to acknowledge to yourself that things don't happen in isolation and you're bigger than just your health and fitness goals. You have other areas of life that you're looking to also optimize for. And so while sacrifices should be made and can be made, there are other times when, like, maybe the sacrifice is still appropriate, maybe the sacrifice isn't appropriate. Was I willing to have 2 less drinks to hit my body fat percentage goal, or am I willing to have 2 more drinks and maybe, I'm probably not going to make that big of a difference in the long run, but am I willing to have 2 more drinks to lose a little less body fat? I would probably be saying I'm going to have 2 more drinks to have a really fun day, have some special memories, to lose a little bit less body fat than I would have originally, or than I would have lost if I would have just had 5 over the course of the weekend rather than 7. So that's what I wanted to share. And then I also wanted to finish off today with 3 ways to break the all or nothing mindset. Because again, if you have this all or nothing mindset, if you're wearing that as a badge of honor, yeah, you wear it as a badge of honor because when you're all in, your results are great. When you're all in, you're kicking butt. But the all or nothing mindset literally implies that nothing is coming. And when nothing comes, that doesn't leave you in a place where you want to be. And so we have to acknowledge that in the gray area, there is still progress, and the gray area is an okay place to be sometimes. So how to break the all or nothing mindset. Number 1, don't put unrealistic expectations on yourself that you are going to go all in, because when you place an unrealistic expectation of yourself and you fall short, not only are you lacking progress with your physical results, but you're also going to see yourself as somebody who can't live up to your own expectations. And that's not a good place we want to be. So number one, don't put unrealistic expectations on yourself. Number two, seek progress, not perfection, because 7 drinks over the course of a wedding weekend for me is a whole lot of progress compared to where I would have been in the past. And so if perfection was 5 drinks or less, or perfection was 3 drinks or less, yeah, I fell short of perfection, but I still made progress. And we need to acknowledge that. And then third and finally, acknowledge the fact that you don't have to be all in to make progress. I think oftentimes we have this misconception that in order to lose body fat, in order to build muscle, in order to achieve XYZ goal, we have to be firing on all cylinders. And that's just not the case. Oftentimes, just to make progress, we have to be better than we have been in the past. We just have to be making progress rather than being perfect. And so how to break the all or nothing mindset: don't put unrealistic expectations on yourself. Seek progress, not perfection, and acknowledge the fact that you don't have to be all in order to make progress. You guys, living in the gray area is okay at certain points in time. I hope today inspires you or just shows you the reality of what it looks like to actually live out a health and fitness goal from my perspective. Like, I'm not perfect 100% of the time. I strive to be as committed as possible and hit my weekly goals to a T, which I have been for the most part. But there are times when I'm going to fall short because I'm not living my life in isolation, and I don't want to be somebody who's overly restrictive for at all times. And so I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I hope you learned some. I hope you gained some insight into my approach and my philosophy when I'm approaching my health and fitness goals. And if you need help with ditching the all or nothing mindset and help with the structure and accountability of your own health and fitness goals, then join us for the next 10-week transformation running from July 15th to September 20th. You can join today at nickcarrier.com/10WT. You can join in person at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., or 10 a.m. in Nashville, or you can join virtually from anywhere. Again, all you got to go is go to nickcarrier.com/10WT, and I will allow you to look and feel your best all summer long. I'll allow you to look and feel strong, all while still having fun throughout the summer. So go to nickcarrier.com/10WT to sign up today. Other than that, I hope today helps you get closer to your health and fitness goals. And ultimately, I hope it helps you get you closer and closer to your best you.